So full disclosure for our audience, this is a KJ movie, and I graciously, because I'm a wonderful person, stepped up and decided to take over the questioning, and we paired this with Grave of the Fireflies, a very early, I think the second Studio Ghibli film, and this is very much a later film. Both not what you would call conventional Studio Ghibli films, and I wasn't a big fan of Grave of the Fireflies. Didn't think it was, I think it's a little sappy or whatnot. This movie I saw in tandem with that. And I saw it on my computer in my house, as usual, eating fish. And shrimp this time. I had like an extra large shrimp cocktail.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I really, it took me a while, it took me 2 viewings, but in the second viewing, I began to see the details that I really liked. And I'm not a Studio Ghibli person. I haven't really seen anything from them. So I watched Spirited Away after to be prepared for you fine folks listening at home. And I was shocked by how different the house style, the Ghibli house style is from Up on Poppy Hill. Even it's very different from Grave of the Fireflies or Spirit of the Fireflies. I don't remember the translation at this point. It's a very kind of sweet, small movie that that I was very surprised by Spirited Away of how different it was. How about you guys? Where did you see it? Were you surprised or perfectly comforted?
So I saw it. This was the first time I'd ever watched it, was in preparation for this podcast. And I was actually surprised that KJ was not on this episode, because as soon as I saw the selection, I thought, oh, it was a KJ movie. And then
You're right.
It was.
And then I thought, oh, there must just be some kind of crossover between KJ and Tom.
Mhm.
And this just happened to be yours. But I enjoyed the movie, I must say. It's not necessarily within my typical, I don't know, viewing spectrum. The one thing that did catch me, I guess most pleasantly, I'll say, was the soundtrack. I really enjoyed the musical score to this movie, actually, to the point where I kind of found myself, even if I didn't watch it with subtitles, I watched the actual English language version. I thought that might make it easier to kind of try and enjoy the movie without trying to read at the same time. But I did. It also made it a little easier to listen, since I wasn't trying to pay too much attention to figuring out what the characters were saying. So I would have to say that was the most pleasant, I think, surprise to me, was how much I enjoyed the score to this movie.
I did watch the subtitle version, and that's always a challenge, because then I have to be like hyper focused on what's going on. What I will say is this movie never would have been on my radar, period. No familiarity with the studio or anything. And again, this totally was a KJ pick that Tom has adopted. So he'll be guiding us through this one. What I will say is, for the first half of the movie, I was trying to figure out why we were watching this film. And again, this isn't a crack at the film. I didn't know what the motivation was. Then we got to halfway through, there was a little tension with our main character and a potential love interest, which actually caught my interest a little bit more. I don't know if that was even really the main purpose of this film or just something added in, but it did work. And funny, Mahoney, you're talking about the music. I actually thought for a Japanese film, I thought some of the score was either like very Western or even European. Like there was a weird vibe with the music. It didn't necessarily resonate with me with what I've known from specific movies I've seen in the past with Japanese cartoons. But it did jump out at me a little bit too. So that's all I really had to say about this one. It's not one that I would really look to watch again, but yeah, it's a movie.